see.
I can see your screen.
Yep, great. Okay, so today's class we'll see the method called send redirect method, which is present in a HTTP servlet response. Let us go and see the API first. What is that? So this is HTTP servlet response interface. In this one, it's having some methods. So there is a method called send redirect method in the response. So what is the use of this send redirect? Generally, include is the one. For example, whenever you're using the action tags like JSP include or JSP forward, include is the one which is like just including the particular file into the current directory, current file, right? Or forward is the one. For example, if I want to forward from one.jsp to another .jsp, then I'm going to use JSP forward. So all these are like within the same application only. It is not like outside of the application. Consider there is a case like you need to hit the other server. Okay, you need to hit the other server and you need to hit the particular page of the other server. Okay, consider right now I have started the WebLogic now. Okay, I have started the WebLogic now. Okay, now in the WebLogic there is a project called test project. Long back we deployed this project, if you remember. There is a var file, test.var file. We deployed this test.var file in WebLogic. So we'll see this. So in this test project, there is HTML file called one.html file. Okay, there is a file called one.html file. Consider. So this is present in the WebLogic server now, because see the port number is also 7001, means it's a, like WebLogic one. Okay, now I will start my Tomcat. Okay, now my Tomcat is started. Here what I'm doing, I'm trying to access one file called one.jsp file. Okay, I'm trying to access one file called one.jsp file. When I hit the one.jsp file which is present in the Tomcat, there in the scriptlet I have written some piece of code to redirect to a different URL. That is, redirect me to the different server page. That is one.html page which is present in a WebLogic. So if that is the case, forward actually to speak may not be working. Forward, JSP forward is only for within the same application. Okay, if you want to forward to a different page within the same application, then you can go for a JSP forward. But I got requirement saying like I need to forward my data to whenever a user clicks on some button. Okay, it has to be like forward to a different server page. Then we need to use response.send redirect. Okay, we need to use response.send redirect, and there we need to provide the absolute URL for which URL you are trying to transfer your, for which URL you are trying to hit. Okay, we need to hit the absolute URL. Now let us see here. See this, observe this URL, localhost 8001 sorry, and test 1.jsp. This is the one which is present in the Tomcat server. Okay, this is the one which is present in the Tomcat server. When I click on enter, see, I have redirected to a WebLogic server, right? How I redirected? Because I'm using response.send redirect. Okay. In future, there will be question comes like this: what is the difference between the JSP forward and response.send redirect? Okay, JSP forward is only for within the same application if you want to forward to a different page. Okay, and response.send redirect is the one if you want to forward the request to a different server page. Okay, let us try to do once again. 1.html, sorry, 1.jsp, right? Let me try to start this developer toggle tools. See, now I'm trying to hit this URL. Okay, now after hitting this URL, myself I redirected to a 7001 server, nothing but it's a WebLogic one. Long back I told you there will be some status codes will be available: 1xx, 2xx, 3xx, 4xx and 5xx, right? 3xx here, 3xx is the one. For example, if you are trying to redirect to a different server, that time the response code will be 3xx. See here, actually request URL is this one. Okay, I have requested for 8008081 means this is a Tomcat, right? I have requested for this one. Okay, and I got the response status code as like this. Status code as 302 means we are redirecting to a different server. So that's what this status code says. Okay. In general, if it is within the same application, then it is going to show 200. Okay. If you want, I will show you that one also. This time being, remove this. Let me use the JSP forward. Page is equal to 2.jsp is the one which is present in my current application only. Okay. Now let me try to this 1.jsp. Let me take this in a different let me start the developer toggle tools. Now hit. Okay, 2.jsp is not there, looks like. 3.jsp is there, right? Let's try to hit that one. Let me restart the server. Run on server. Click on finish. Go to the browser. Click on enter. What the hell is this? Let me check. Oops. Okay, got it. Okay, now I'm trying to hit this. Before that, let me start this toggle tools. Just click on enter. Yes, I got the 3.jsp. I forwarded from 1.jsp to a 3.jsp file. Right now, see the status code at here 200. Okay, right, and request URL is this is the one, and we use the method get method, and status code is 200. Okay, but see here previous one status code 302 form means here actually to speak we are trying to redirect to a different server application. So that is the reason we are giving the status code as 302. Okay, so got an idea difference between the response.send redirect and the JSP forward?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, mm, please go on mute.
You-
Yeah. Next one is okay. What? So we have seen the JSP actions. One is JSP include, right? Next one is JSP forward, right? There is another one called JSP text. Let us see what is the text. We try to open 1.jsp. Okay, now go back to the server and try to hit 1.jsp in Tomcat. So JSP text message. So third one is JSP text. This is nothing but template text. Actually to speak, instead of writing as like this, if we put it inside the JSP action tag called text, then also it's going to display this particular message. Okay, this works just like that. Means if you want to make the code like clean, and if you don't want to write it like hard code the text as like this, then better to go for use this JSP text message. and there is no much difference between this template text and JSP text. It's almost the same. And then next action tag is JSP use bean. Okay, JSP use bean, which is having the ID and then class and then scope. Okay, see what is this use bean. Okay, first of all, what is a bean? Bean is nothing but one plain Java file, which is having some properties. Okay, which is having some properties. For these properties, we have provided the appropriate setters and getter methods. Okay, this is called as a bean, or this is called as a Java bean. So what is a bean? Bean is nothing but one plain Java file, okay, which is having some properties. For these properties, if we have provided some setters and getter methods. Consider as an example at here. See this, I have one property called email. Okay, for this email property, I am using the setter method as like this: public void set email, and then getter method public string get email. Okay, first what we are going to do, we are going to create the user data object. Okay, after creation of an user data object, by using the setter methods like set email, set user id and set age, by using these we are going to set our data like email, user id and then age. Okay, once your job is done, in appropriate time, okay, again we are going to get this particular user data object and we are going to read the data by using this getter methods, that is get email, get user id and get age. By using these getter methods we are going to read the data. Okay, you guys come across called data hiding concept in core Java?
I think
Data
so,
hiding.
but I don't remember it now. Yeah.
Okay, so data hiding is nothing but instead of accessing these variables directly, or you can say properties directly, we are going to use appropriate methods to access these properties. Okay, for example,
Correct. Yeah.
in this case these three properties are there, I made it as a private. Means if you create the object of user data also, you may not be accessing these directly. For example, user data object dot email, no, it won't work because it is a private. User data dot user id, no, it may not work because it is a private. And then user data dot object dot is, no, still it may not work because it is a private. So you can't access these properties directly. Okay, in a case if you want to access these, then tell me how. First I want to set some value, for example for an email, then I need to first create the user data object, then user data object dot set email. For this email I need to pass the email parameter, whichever the email that you want to set, so that this will be set to this email. Okay, and then if I want to access this email, then I need to use get email method, so that it is going to return this email, which is nothing but this instance variable only, right? So
Yeah.
as part of the data hiding concept we are going to use this. Okay, same way here, this is called as a Java bean. Okay, now onwards you guys like keep on getting this name. Okay, Java bean, spring bean, okay, like pozo, plain old Java object, all these are like same only. So bean is nothing but on plain Java file, nothing is on plain Java file, it is having some properties. So these three are the properties. Okay, for these three properties if we provided the appropriate setters and getter methods, then that is called as a Java bean. Okay,
But
what?
does Do you mean that we should have the proper setter and getter method for each of the property?
Yes. For example,
So if we didn't do for one, we cannot call it a bin.
it depends upon. See, as part of this use bean, I mean, as part of this JSP, whenever you're using use bean, people says like you should compulsorily implement all these appropriate setters and getter methods. That is called as a Java bean. That's what the JSP says. If you go to the Spring application, okay, Spring framework, there we're going to call the Spring bean. It is also be same like this only, no difference at all. But there they will say like if you implement at least one setter method or at least one getter method, then that is called as a Spring bean. So the people how it is going to like say that is a different, that's it. Okay, so just for time being remember it as like this. Okay, in future according to the frameworks you can able to learn. Okay,
Okay.
just for time being you can say like we should compulsorily implement all the setters and getter methods for the given properties. Then those also called, that is called as an Java bean. Okay, so now we created one Java bean called user data. Okay, so what is the advantage of this bean actually to speak? The advantage of it here is in the previous case we come across one registration page. First, in the first registration page username and password is there, and then second registration page we're having some other values like first name, last name, email ID. Okay, and for accessing these we're using a different technique like request.get parameter and setting all these, setting in a sessions scope, all these like manually you're writing this piece of code, right? Okay, in order to like remove this piece of hard coding they were introduced use bean concept. Okay, this Java bean concept. So how this works, consider as an example there is one HTML file called save name HTML file. Okay, there is an HTML file called save name HTML file. Okay, in this save name HTML file there were like three input texts are there, messages are there. Okay, one is email, one is user ID, another one is age. Okay, name is email, user ID and then age. Okay, when I click on next then it will go and hit the save name.jsp file. Okay, in the save name.jsp file in the request object I am going to have all these three values, right? Email, user ID and yes. Now in the, let me try to remove all this nonsense so that it will be clear for you guys. Paste it here somewhere. Now see here I have created one bean called use bean. Okay, I have created one bean JSP use bean. Okay, this is a JSP action tag. Okay, what are the attributes it is going to have? One is ID, class, scope. Okay, what is an ID? First we'll come go to the class. What is a class? Okay, so first what you need to do, you need to get the appropriate value and set it into the this bean, user data bean, which we have already been created. Okay, user data. Okay, user data is having email, user ID and then is, right? So just in the class section give the whole bean here. Okay, and then we are having scope. Okay, now next come to the ID. So what is an ID? ID is nothing but just a reference. Okay, just a reference. For example, if I create it as like this, user data user is equal to new user data. Okay, if I created as like this, then what is this user? User is the one which is pointing to this particular object, right? This is called as a reference. Okay, this reference is pointing to this particular object address, right? In the same way, at here also id is the one which is referring to the object of this user data which we have created just now. Okay, whenever we give the class for this class, okay, at runtime it is going to create the object. For that object we need a reference, right? That reference is this one, user. Okay, and then scope. Actually, to speak, we are having the different kinds of scopes been available: page, request, session, application. Okay, sorry. Just for time being, I am going to use session. Okay, I will tell you the difference later. Okay, just for time being, I'm using session. And then manually, I am going to write the code as like this. As the user is already been created, user dot set email. Okay, so here what I need to do, request dot get parameter. What is the value of this one? First one, email. So provide it here. Okay, in this way we need to provide the next set user id. Okay, for this user id, what is the name at here? User id. Copy this, paste it here. I am showing the complex one, after that I will show you the simple one. Okay, user dot set age. Okay, request dot get parameter of, what is the name of that in first page? Is, right? So just I'm giving the same name. I have saved. Okay, now let me try to display the data at here. User dot get email. Okay, next, user dot get user id, and then finally user dot get age. So this is the data we're trying to print it here, right? Now when I click on the save data, I am redirected to a different page called second page. This is the second page. Okay, this is the second page. Here what I'm doing, again I'm trying to get the user data object which is present in a session scope, and I'm providing the reference as user here. Okay, now by using appropriate getter methods, I'm going to display these in the second page. Okay, now let me try to save this. So first page is save name. This is a plain HTML file, right? Let us go out here. Save name.html. Yes, I got one page. Here I am providing some details like email ID as xyz@gmail.com, name as John, and age as 25. Click on next. So I am getting my email, user ID and age. Now I am actually present in save name.jsp. I moved from HTML to JSP file, right? Now actually I am present in here. So first what I am doing, I'm trying to create the user data object. Okay, for this object I am using appropriate setter methods to set the email ID, user ID and age. Is this the correct way to set the email, right? Otherwise in the second page how it get to know the email? Request.get parameter. Got an idea or any confusion at here? I mean request.get parameter I'm saying, remaining things.
No.
Okay, now I'm using expression tags. Okay, JSP expression, just I'm trying to print. Already reference is present, right? By using setter methods I already set the email, user ID and then age, right? And now by using getter methods I am trying to read the data. So that is the reason here is displaying email, name as John, user ID is John and age as 25. Now let us see it here. I have used some link page called save data. Okay, when I click on this save data link, I'm going to hit the second page, means this the one. Okay, here what I'm doing again, in this page I want to access that particular data. Okay, actually to speak, I have created the user data object at here. Okay, and set the values by using appropriate setter methods, and then in the next page first I'm trying to create the object. Create the object means actually to speak, it will go and search for this user data is present in session scope or not. Okay, if it is already been present, it is going to use it. Okay, as the object is already been present in the session scope, just it will get the existing object. So in the existing object we already set the values, right? So that's the reason I'm using get email, get user ID and get yes to display the values at here. Go here, click on save data. Yes, this is the second page.jsp. I can able to see all my data which I have entered in the first page. Okay, so what is the use of the use bin at here? It reduced the burden to create the object. Okay, use bin action tag is the one, it reduced the burden to create the object. And then after that again I'm writing some piece of code to get the values at here. Let us try to simplify this a little bit more.
Hey, Mani.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a question.
yeah, 1 second Vijay, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vijay, tell me.
Yeah. In the second.jsp, do we need to use the same ID?
Which one you are saying? This one? ID?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll try. with a different user data. Okay, let me try to copy this reference set here. Okay, now come back, click on save name.html file and provide the appropriate details set here. Click on next, click on save data. Now tell me what is happening.
It didn't get those values
Why like so?
because it is looking with the same reference ID.
Reference, right? So we should provide the appropriate reference at here, whatever we have provided at there.
Okay.
Now, okay, so up to here it is done. Now let me try to simplify this job little bit more. Why am I trying to hard code this? Do I have any other way to set these properties? Yes, there is. That is called as JSP set property. Okay, see JSP set property. Now see what I'm doing at here. Let me try to place the star. Okay, let me try to place the star. Okay, and then come back here. Just click on save name.html file and provide the appropriate details. Click on next, save data. So what happened actually? I didn't do anything, right? Just I used one simple set property and then I kept one star at here at the property level and then I kept the user. User is the one which is nothing but it's an ID reference. So what is really been happening? Okay, let us simplify this a little bit more. Let me try to use email. Okay, now just go back here. Now provide the same details XYZ John and then is click on next. Let me stop the server. Looks like some cache. Run on server. Click on finish. Okay, take this URL. Close this. Open the browser once again so that the new session will be get created. Here the problem is I'm using the session scope, right? 1 minute please. Okay, now I'm providing the details set here, zone and then 25. Click on next. See here, observe in the current page itself, save name current page itself, actually I'm trying to display, right? So now I got only XYZ and null, remaining things are null. And when I click on the save data, here also I got the only email ID, but I'm not getting user ID and yes. Why like so? Because I'm using the set property tag, and this is the property. Property means, see here, come to the user data. Okay, do we have any property name like email? Yes, it is, right? So provide the same name at here. Okay, and then put the user. Then you should get another question. Sir, how it is getting, like, actually to speak, I'm trying to enter the data at here, okay, and click on submit. I'm coming to the save name.jsp. Everything is clear for me at here, but how it get to know this particular field, how this get to know this particular input field has to be applied to this particular email only? How it is get to know? It is going to use the name. Okay, the name of this particular HTML file should be matching with the property in a bean. Okay, the name present in the HTML file, value of this name should matching the property in email. So according to that, it is going to understanding like, yes, get the value of the email from this. Okay, and then put it in a property by using setter method. By using appropriate setter method means set email. For this set email, set the email value which we got from this. Okay, so that's the reason it is going to use this reference object dot set email. It is going to internally, it is going to call set email. For this email, we are going to set the appropriate value. Now if I want to set the other two values also, then what I need to do? Set property of user ID, and then set property of age. Okay, now come back here. First take this user ID. Is this matching with the name at here in the first page? User ID? Yes, it is matching.
Yes.
Now go to the user data bin. Check, is this matching with the user ID? Yes, it is matching. Now we are correct. So whenever we call this set property, it is going to match accordingly. It is going to take the name from the HTML file, okay, form from the form, and it is going to match up with the bean object which we specified the ID reference at here. Okay, it is going to match up for this here. So accordingly, it is going to set by using setter methods, by using set user ID and set is. Now in the same way, if I want to access the these email, user ID and age from this user data bean, then I need to use JSP get property. So we need to give the name is nothing but ID reference at here, right? And then property is nothing but which property that you want to read? Email ID, right? So for that one, what you need to give? Just email. Okay, like this. Provide the remaining details also. Okay, user ID and then is. So let us try to display some information at here. Okay. Now go back to the page, save name. I'm providing the appropriate details. Click on next. See now data you entered is email, and then user ID, and then is. Still I'm in a save name.jsp. See, when you click on the save data, will redirect to the different page, that is second page. In the second page also I can able to access these values. Okay. um, so there also in the second page, instead of using these expression tags, we can use appropriate get property tags, so that it is going to read from this user data object. Any doubts till now?
No.
Yep. Okay, a little bit more concept is there. Session scope is there. Scope, we are having the different scopes, right? Page, request, session, and an application. So we'll discuss about more about this on tomorrow's class.
Okay.
Okay.
Got an idea or?